Yo, what's up, guys? Milan lose today, 1-0 to Napoli, guys, in a really crucial game today for Champions League football and placement, of course. And unfortunately, today, Milan did not come out with the victory in a really frustrating and questionable game today by Milan at times in this game, guys. I thought Milan, played okay today at times in this game. The first half, I thought Milan were the way better team in the first half. I thought they controlled play, had some dangerous chances. Unfortunately, couldn't bury them. But this is a very tight game. You knew this was going to be a game where both teams were not going to be attacking very much, going to be very methodical, where they were passing, where they were going to move the ball. It was going to be a very tight game. You knew Conte and Allegri are two defensive type managers that can play a defensive style. You saw both sides playing a 3 at the back formation. Napoli was playing a 3-4-2-1. Milan was playing, obviously, a 3-5-2, of course. And, of course, obviously, the big question marks coming into this game was who's going to play up top. We saw Christopher Nkunku and Nicholas Fulku play up top together, guys. And, in such a big game like this, obviously, coming off an international break, Leao dealing with the injuries that he's been dealing with, Pulisic obviously flying back from the States, of course. You knew that those two guys probably weren't going to start, but in a game of this magnitude, maybe one of them should have started in this game. Fulkrug, unfortunately, hasn't done enough at Milan this season, guys. Only has one goal. Goes invisible at times in the game. Doesn't get involved enough in the play. Obviously doesn't get enough service at times, but unfortunately he hasn't taken advantage of the minutes that he's been given. And you saw that again today, playing 60 minutes and doing pretty much nothing in this game, if you guys ask me. And Nkunku as well. The guy has 5 goals this season. 3 of them are on penalties. Only 2 of them are from open play. You spend 40 million euros on this guy. He has a great opportunity in the first half, where Fofana intercepts the ball and puts in a great through ball to him, and he skies it over the net there. Like, those are the plays there. You spent 40 million on a guy. You don't have a lot of opportunities in a game. Other than the Pavlovic set play there on the free kick there where Bartosaki crossed in and Pavlovic just missed the net. Other than that, Nkunku's chance was the best opportunity, and he misses the net completely. You got to get that shot on target. You're worth 40 million euros. Milan spent all that money on you, and you can't even bury your shot. And that's another indictment on Milan's manager. Overspending on players like this guy, not spending the proper money on certain players. Of course, I'm going to get into Milan's management because this game here was another example how Milan's management has failed Allegri, but Allegri as well is just so hard-headed and refuses to do certain things, be a little bit more creative, take a bit of a risk to try to win the game. He did not do that today, Max Allegri, at times in this game today. If anything, he was playing to not lose this game instead of trying to win the game. So those are a lot of reasons why Milan end up losing this game today. We're unfortunately not attacking enough in this game. Didn't threaten Napoli's goal enough. Only 2 times they threatened Napoli's goal in the first half. Napoli didn't threaten Milan's net as much either in the first half. Giovanni had a chance, but Pavlovic made a great run to get back and track back and was able to block the shot there. Bastoni should take a page out of his book there instead of slide tackling and doing something stupid like he did for Italy, of course. And then after we saw Spinazzola had a great play, of course, where Fofana, unfortunately, did not defend him well enough. Spinazzola got by him, took a shot there with, luckily enough, his weaker foot. But Curl did pass the post there, to keep it at 0-0. Those were 2 chances shared apiece by both teams. I thought Milan had more possession, had more control of the game, but unfortunately, both teams did not score on their opportunities. Napoli today didn't even have a natural number 9. Hoyland was out with the flu. Lukaku's in a dispute with Napoli right now because he's been dealing with an injury. Stayed in Belgium. They told him to get back there on Tuesday last week. Didn't come back on Tuesday. So you knew that Napoli wasn't going to play with a natural striker. They played with Giovanni up top, for Christ's sakes. He had a really good opportunity in the second half, about 5 to 10 minutes into the second half. He had a really good shot on Magnan there. Magnan made a great save to keep it at 0-0. And the game was a little bit more open in the second half to start. Teams were going back and forth. It was really open, I felt, at times in the second half to start the game. Nkunku pissed me off. He had a chance to shoot, hesitated, didn't shoot, tried to make a pass. There were some frustrating things that I saw in the second half. And especially that, after that play there, Milan didn't attack enough, I felt, in the second half. They were a little bit too conservative. Didn't push the ball up the field enough. Napoli started controlling the game a little bit better. Napoli started making some subs, and I knew that once Napoli subbed in that Alisson Santos kid, I go, oh boy, here we go. the game's going to get a little bit more open now because that kid's got pace. He's a really good player, can open up the field. Of course, he makes the pass, of course, where Napoli crossed the ball in, and what really frustrates me is Davide Bartasaghi has had a really strong year at Milan, a really good year at Milan. But he's had some really costly mistakes, especially when his back is not looking, where he's not looking over his shoulder. His back is facing the opponent. And unfortunately, Bartasaghi has done this a couple times this season. If you guys recall, he did it one time at the end of a game where he committed a penalty because he didn't know where his man was, lost sight of him. And unfortunately, as we saw again today, Bartasaghi's age, his youth and inexperience, unfortunately, bit him in the ass today, even though he's played a lot this season. Unfortunately, being a young player, you can make mistakes, lose focus for a second. And unfortunately, that's what happened to Bartasaghi. De Winter did a good job heading the ball out, but Bartasaghi wasn't in position, doesn't see that loser, Matteo Politano, behind him. And it's just incredible to me that I knew once Napoli subbed in Politano, I go, oh my God, if this guy scores this bloody goal here, it's just adding insult to injury for Italian Milan fans. And of course, Bartasaghi makes the mistake not seeing Politano behind him, and Politano is able to hit it on net there, beat Magnan to make it 1-0 for Napoli. And I just said to myself, you gotta be kidding me, man. You gotta be kidding me. After what I endured this week with the Italian national team, after watching Inter thrash Roma yesterday 5-2, watching DeMarco, watching Barella, watching Bastoni, just disgusts me looking at these people. Then looking at Politano scoring, doing his stupid little celebration. Hey! He's a disgrace to the country of Italy. And to see him do that to Milan, and just annoy me even more. It's just like, you knew Milan weren't winning this game after Napoli made it 1-0. Even though Allegri brought in Cheek and Leao, you knew they weren't going to win this game because Max Allegri, like I said, tried to not lose this game and instead of trying to win it. He brought in Jimenez, which he should have did earlier. Brought in Pulisic for an Nkunku, which I obviously won. But he should have changed formation earlier. Should have went to a 4-3-3. Played with wingers and a natural number 9. Napoli didn't have a natural number 9 like I mentioned there. And they end up winning the bloody game for Christ's sakes. These are the type of games where I say to myself, this one is not only on Allegri, but the management as well. Allegri, unfortunately, chose not to change formation, chose to play the 3-5-2. I understand after, it was staying 0-0 and he didn't want to give up a goal. Fine. But as soon as Napoli scored, go to the 4-3-3. Start pushing the ball up the field more. And if anything, why don't you play with the 4-3-3 with Napoli not having a number 9? Get a goal early, set the tempo of the game. But unfortunately, again, as we've seen a lot this season, Max Allegri doesn't do that. Likes to play defensive and conservative, hit on the counter or score in a set piece and try to defend the game and win it. Like we saw them do against Napoli at the beginning of the year when they went down a man and ended up winning the game. So these are the games where you say to yourself, Allegri's got to have a little bit more courage, a little bit more balls, and try to take a risk and win the game. I didn't see that with Italy either with Gattuso, for God's sakes. And now I have to see it again with Milan. It's very frustrating when certain teams, like Milan, like Italy, like I've seen, like I know that they're the better side on the field right now. Napoli's been dealing with a shit ton of injuries this year. Have a lot of guys out of the lineup right now. But Conte, the great manager that he is, that I hope he leaves Napoli at the end of the season and takes the Italy job again. He has been able to manage this Napoli side with all the injuries, and they've won 5 straight now, and they have just surpassed Milan in the table by a couple points, by 2 points. These are the games where I say to myself, that's why Conte is one of the best managers in the world. And so is Allegri. But unfortunately, Allegri sometimes gets in his own way. He's hard-headed at times. And unfortunately, as we saw in this game today, it shot Milan in the foot. Not being more aggressive in the attack, not changing formation. And obviously Allegri doesn't have a lot of options right now up top. Jimenez is obviously coming off a long layoff. Fulkrug is a bit of a stiff right now, not a great player. Nkunku's been overpaid for, and it's just not the player he was at Red Bull Leipzig. Leao, unfortunately, has been dealing with this damn injury all bloody year. I don't know what the hell is wrong with him. And then Pulisic hasn't scored a bloody goal since December 28th. So Milan have no really threatening attacking options. that are in form, that are scoring at will, and that is obviously at fault due to Milan's management, obviously. Other than Leao and Pulisic, who have been Milan's best players, who have, unfortunately, are both having a really bad spell as well. Pulisic going scoreless, Leao being injured, and obviously having the frustrations, him and Pulisic as well with the spat they had a few weeks back. It's really frustrating, and then Milan's management, overpaying for Nkunku, not going out there and getting a better striker other than Fulcrum, obviously, during the window. But I get it. You needed to get somebody better. You're trying to make Champions League. You're trying to get out of the rut after finishing at 9th last year. And this management, again, does incompetent things. And unfortunately, it trickles down to the field. And you saw it again today. In these games like this, you say to yourself, you need that one play, that one player. Unfortunately, Milan didn't have it today. And when Leao and Pulisic are not firing, you need someone to come off the bench and bail you out once in a while. Unfortunately, Milan's options are not that good right now. That's Milan's management's fault. I blame them for their bullshit, for how they buy players and how they operate. If Milan's manager want to splash money on big players, you got to go for the young guys, the promising young talents, guys like Palestra, for example, to say the least. But we know how Milan's management operates. They don't do those type of things. But this game here, guys, was for the taking. Milan could have won this game. Too conservative in the second half. I like you should have been more aggressive. Change the formation. Bring in the guys earlier. Bring in Leao and Pulisic earlier. Bring in Jimenez earlier. Maybe something would have changed. But unfortunately, guys, Milan lose this game today. Napoli surpass them in the table. Milan are in 3rd place now, being in comfortably 2nd place for the majority of the season, of course. Now things are going to get tight the rest of the way. You still got to play Juve one more time. You still got some difficult games coming up as well, guys. I thought Milan's defense was solid today. I thought Milan did okay at times in this game today. I thought the Winter was solid. Pavlovic was okay today. Tomori was okay. Magnan made that big save. Unfortunately, couldn't make that save on Politano. The midfield was okay in the first half. Didn't do enough in the second half, guys. Just, unfortunately, this game today was not good enough by Milan. They were okay. They were better in the first half. Okay in the first 10, 15 minutes of the second half. But then the rest of the way, I felt Napoli controlled the game more, started to push more a little bit, had some threatening chances, and then after, as we saw, Napoli buried that chance there. Both teams there, a draw would have been fair, but unfortunately, one mistake by Bartisaghi unfortunately cost Milan. It's not the first time, like I mentioned, he's done this. The kid needs to learn a couple more things, unfortunately, to polish himself off to becoming a better defender, but unfortunately, his mistake there cost Milan. We see Politano, out of all people, get the bloody goal. Allegri did not do enough in this game today, guys, to win this game for Milan today. Wasn't aggressive enough. The players on the field weren't aggressive enough. Didn't get enough opportunities on the field. Listen, give Conte credit, man. He is such a great manager. Been dealing with a shit ton of injuries. Dealing with, obviously, the Lukaku stuff like I mentioned there. Has Napoli in 2nd place. Obviously, I know they got eliminated early in Champions League, but it doesn't matter. Conte's done a hell of a job in Napoli this season. So was Allegri with Milan. But unfortunately today, after Milan beat Napoli at the beginning of the year, Conte and Napoli won up Milan today by the slightest of margins today. That's how games operate, guys. By the slightest of margins, you can win or lose a game today. One mistake by Milan today, unfortunately, cost them. Napoli didn't make any mistakes. Milan had some opportunities, have chances, but unfortunately, all those chances, Milan squandered. You had some opportunities at the end of the game there. I don't know why Modric tried to pass it to Bartisaghi. They started crossing it in, trying to get a header. Jimenez was pretty invisible today. Didn't do enough today. Obviously he's not going to do much with like 30 minutes, unfortunately. With the way Milan were operating and how they were set up on the field today. You just knew Milan were just going to sit back and try to counter Napoli. Without a number 9, Allegri thought it would have been a little bit easier maybe. But unfortunately, one mistake bites Milan in the ass. You see these games, these type of games here are where you say to yourself, this is why Milan's management gets the criticism they get, because some of the players that they acquire don't step up in big matchups, especially up top in the attack. Playing a 2-striker formation as well, as we see, doesn't suit similar players. I don't think it suits Nkunku, Pulisic, or Leao. Maybe Fulcrum and Jimenez because they're natural number 9s and they can poach in the box there. But unfortunately, guys, Milan's management takes some blame again for the players that they've purchased. Allegri takes some blame for not showing nuts and courage and maybe changing the formation earlier, bringing in the better players earlier, guys. Just a really unfortunate loss now for Milan, guys. Now in 3rd place, Napoli surpassed Milan. Now we got to see, guys, only 7 games left in the Serie season. You got some difficult games coming up, especially now. But now we're in the final stretch. Milan have to accumulate as many points as possible. Get that top 4 place. There's no point of even talking about a Scudetto now. It's just going to absolutely sicken me. Absolutely sicken me. Knowing that Inter are probably going to win the title with all those bloody losers that are Italian on that Inter team, guys. You know, it is going to be an absolute disgrace knowing that Milan had every opportunity to win the title this season, and we bottled it to those losers because Milan couldn't bury their opportunities and get business done against the smaller opponents. And now, unfortunately, we're gonna have to endure not only Italy missing a 3rd straight World Cup, but watching Inter winning another title this season. It's like when it rains, it pours, man. It's just incredible, guys. But honestly, really frustrating loss today for Milan. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on what Milan could have done differently to win this game today. What Allegri could have done differently. We all know the incompetence of Milan's management. Hate those people who run this club. We'll see if Milan's management has the balls and the stones to listen to Allegri this summer, and see if they're willing to listen to him and make the changes that he wants to improve this team going into next season. And obviously, of course, with the speculation going around with the national team, with Allegri and Conte, with those names being swinging around, you know, listen, I hope to God Max Allegri doesn't leave, even though this game does piss me off. He's done some great things with Milan this season. Games like today do piss me off and say to myself, Max, man, you can't be having these type of games. You know, but still, I think he's done great things with Milan. I do not want to see him leave because I do not want to know what that management would have in store as a manager if Max Allegri were to leave. So I hope Conte leaves not at the end of the season, takes the Italy job, brings Italy back to where they belong. Maybe, hopefully, Max Allegri stays, and then maybe Milan's management will listen to him and improve this team the way he wants. And maybe this team can compete for a title next year, guys. But unfortunately, this season, guys, it's not going to happen. Really unfortunate loss today for Milan today, guys. Love to your guys' thoughts and opinions on this one, guys. So like this video. Subscribe if you guys want to see more content. Forza Milan sempre, as always, guys. See you guys on the next episode of Rock One Filter. Ciao, guys.